Welcome to another episode of Nimsully Explains with me, Nimsully. Tonight, I'm going to do something a little different than what I've done in the past. There's a fairly important topic to the tabletop role playing game community that's really hit the news since last Friday. And I wanted to talk to my viewers about it. I think it's important that we get the word out and that we talk about this. Yes, this is yet another uh, YouTube video about the Open Gaming License, OGL. So let's get into it. What is the OGL, or the Open Game License? Back in 2000, Wizards of the Coast had their new property of Dungeons and Dragons, and they wanted to release a new version. In that version, they came out with a new license. It was innovative in the gaming community at the time. It was designed to get third-party contributors to make content to support Dungeons and Dragons, to build off the same game system. That way, when people learn to play D20, it would feed back into Dungeons and Dragons, and people could make content for Dungeons and Dragons. It seems like a good idea to me. It was used by Paizo, Kobold Press, Green Ronin, many more. I've got dozens of books by third party back in those days. It was the Open Gaming License, OGL 1.0A to be specific. It delimited what was protected and what wasn't. Open game content, which was the mechanics and rules and some other content. But descriptions, pictures, art, things like that were all protected content, so you couldn't copy and share. But the stuff that was in the open gaming content was available for anyone to use. It caused a growth in playing Dungeons and Dragons that I hadn't seen before. I had played first edition AD&D, I had played second edition, and it was limited to a few people. But now, in third edition, there was dozens of people coming out. Not as many as 5e, but a lot. Wizards, however, for some reason, wasn't happy with that. So when they decided to do Dungeons and Dragons 4.0, they went to a new license, what they called a game system license. It was much more restricted, and it likely hindered the adoption of the game. I think as a result of that, they decided to bring back OGL 1.0A with 5.0. In November, there was rumors of a new open GL, or an open gaming license. And Wizards even confirmed to some degree that they were looking at revising the OGL. A lot of rumors, a lot of concern, November, December. And then in early January, Gizmodo published an expose that detailed the new gaming license. They wanted to replace the original 1.0A with this new 1.1. It would supersede it, and the original license would no longer be valid. It would draw a distinction between non-commercial and commercial. Non-commercial, you would still have to register your product, but not as much concern as long as you weren't trying to make a profit. If you're trying to make money off of it, well, if you made over $50,000, you would have to report your sales to Wizards. If you made over $750,000, then they would take 25% of anything above that gross. So that means before you paid your people, before you paid the printers, before anything else. Now, what that boils down to is that if you're, say, making $800,000 in sales, you only have to pay 25% of 50,000. But that's still 25% of 50,000. Publishing is not really a way to make a ton of money, at least in the gaming industry. And so there's a lot of publishers that exist on very slim margins. They're not all running around here in Lamborghinis and Ferraris. They're gamers like us. Another thing that is onerous, Wizards gets to reuse your materials. They have the full right to use any material submitted under the 1.1 license, both commercial and non-commercial, without further compensation to the author. Now, there are some arguments over the extent to which Wizards can do some of this. That can they revoke OGL 1.0? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not claiming to be a lawyer. I can't say whether or not they can and they can't. I've heard arguments on both sides. But I think as a gaming community, we need to take a stand and do something about it. What you need to do is first tell your friends, spread the word, let them know what's happening with the OGL. There are plenty of players out there that are hearing stuff, but maybe not, fully engaged. There's a lot of GMs that are like that too. What we've got to do is let them know that this can impact their game. Then that one D&D might have no third-party support. Next thing you can do is sign a petition. There's a couple. I've got links below. One is to Open D&D, where you can fill that out, and the other one is through change.org. And finally, the last concrete action you can do, and I think maybe has the most significant impact to this whole thing, is to cancel your D&D Beyond subscription. Earlier today, there were reports from supposedly from people that work at Wizards, or a person, I should say, that Wizards, the only thing they cared about, them and Hasbro, is people canceling the subscription. So if you feel strongly, as I do, that D&D needs to be open, you need to cancel your subscription. Well, thanks for letting me ramble a bit about this OpenGL issue. I appreciate your time, and I think it's something really important for those of us that really love Dungeons and Dragons, the game that Gary Gygax made for us. It was an innovative concept. Never before had you the ability to tell stories like this. But now we need to do something to protect our game. Thank you very much. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Leave me comments. Let me know what you're doing, how you can help preserve Dungeons and Dragons. If you got any further ideas, any further suggestions, I would really appreciate it. Until next time, happy gaming.